We're talking about technique.
Yeah.
Technique. Well, jumping back into it. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties. Now the camera is back to normal, so I apologize. We tried, but I appreciate you bringing it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we were talking about technique, refining technique and that kind of thing. With javelin specifically, and this might get a little all over the place because we just stopped and can't really remember what we talked about. So everyone bear with us. But in javelin, what's the most important part of the actual technique? Is it all in the legs or is it the arm itself? Like, what's that like?
You know, I actually saw a really cool quote from one of my idols in the javelin. His name's Thomas Roller. He's a German thrower. He did a question and answer thing on Instagram, and somebody said the same question, like what's more important, the upper or lower body? And he said beginners try to throw harder with their upper body, and like pros essentially, or he referred to himself like at his level because he's like that good.
Best of the best.
Yeah, he's really good. And he said his level throwers, it's all like lower body. And I believe that's true, right? Yeah. So it's mainly lower body. Your legs are stronger. The throw is a reaction, and your upper body's really along for the ride. Yeah. It just gets complicated because at the amateur level, you're focusing on technique, which means you're not doing a full run up. Yeah. And so you're doing standing throws, and you use your upper body a lot in them. And so that's where the mix up comes. But to answer your question, it's lower body is king in throwing.
I feel like that's with everything, man. Like you and I, we were just talking at dinner, like about, Allie and I are facing some running issues. Allie specifically, I'm doing better. But like a lot of it comes down to the technique, and a lot of things that you don't really focus on as a runner. Like you just imagine, oh man, I have to just go fast. And a lot of that comes from the quads. That's what you tell yourself, or like the calves. But in reality, it's like the posterior chain. It's like your back, your glutes, your hip flexors, your hamstrings, like everything that you wouldn't really consider as like, that's going to make me a good runner. It sounds like it's the same for javelin. So what was like an average workout like? Were you guys like doing squats or whatever? Like, I don't know.
The routine was consistent over the years, and it was about 4 days of lifting, and then we always threw on Tuesday and Friday.
Oh, nice.
So we lifted pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And then had those throwing days. So it didn't matter. Like we lifted on our throwing days, you know, so that was the consistency.
That makes sense. Consistency adds up.
And it was Olympic lifts. So like snatches, cleans, variety of snatches, hip snatches on a box, high or low.
Dang.
Like we had all kinds of stuff, you know, like laser measurements to track the bar speed.
Really?
Stuff to know if like you're falling within a certain range.
That's
that
crazy.
Is apparently adequate for like muscle improvement. I don't know, like
That's
fast
insane.
twitch. I don't know about all that stuff.
They're like looking at all the science at it. That's amazing. I'll nerd out about that crap. But so how'd you eventually end up at BYU on their team?
BYU was my goal, which is cool, right? The way that it happened was most of the time you have to, if you throw around 200 feet in high school, I think it's a little deeper now, like maybe 205 to 210, but 200 feet at the time you were top 10 in the country.
Really?
Or really close to it. And with that being said, most of the schools in Utah that I wanted to attend, they would recruit you if you threw 200 feet. But it seemed impossible to get in if you were below that.
Yeah.
So like I ended the season at 195 feet.
Dang, really?
Yep. And then I threw 206 the week after the season.
No way.
And
Really?
so, of course,
man.
I was like hitting the emails, right? Because I was like, I'm not in high school anymore technically, you know, but like it's a week difference.
Yeah.
None of them recruited me. And then I went on my mission. And at the last like 6 months of my mission, it was a variety of reaching back out, and also a few reaching out to me. Yeah. They like wanted me. And so it became this game with like 3 or 4 schools, and BYU was holding out. Like I didn't have the best ACT score. Yeah. And so I had to take a residual one.
Me either, dude.
Yeah. It was really bad. And yeah, terrible ACT. But
what were the top schools? So the 3 schools.
BYU, I want to say local, right?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't optional. I didn't want it to be optional to
to go
at
out,
all
like,
to go out. So like if I did go out, it'd be at some giant school like Oregon or Texas, right?
Yeah.
But it was BYU, UVU, and I couldn't decide between like Utah State and UVU. And I didn't really have, I should have then, but I didn't have Weber State like in mind at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's because they dropped me when I threw a PR at one track meet in high school, and the coach came up and said they weren't interested anymore. And I was really confused.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
weird.
I just threw better. But yeah. So
I mean, you ended up at BYU, which they have a unbelievable track
amazing
and field team. So, I mean, we were talking about that a little bit about dinner, but what did that feel like when you got it?
Oh, dude, like I still remember texting my coach because he was the one waiting for me to get approved so he could let me know. And he just, I can't remember exactly what he said anymore, but he let me know. And like I could just tell we were both pumped. And we had
That's
like
so cool.
We had phones on my mission in Arizona, so I grabbed it and like chucked it at the couch and was just like literally jumping
like,
up.
Let's go!
Yeah, I was
Dude,
so pumped about it.
Cool.
I was like, yes.
I mean, it's like every kid's dream who like gets into sports is like, I want to go play for a college and then eventually like go pro or whatever that is. But
I was gonna go there in like 2 weeks, so it was like
amazing.
Last second, you know, like so pumped.
Yeah, so like you have this huge thing to look forward to. Were you nervous at all? Because like during your mission, I mean, 2 years of not throwing, right?
I trained on my mission, by the way. Yep. Here and there I trained, and then they legalized javelin in Arizona. So on a few P days in one area, I went with the high schoolers and trained with them, and actually probably had a really bad elbow issue at the time that we can talk about later.
Yeah.
But I trained a little bit on my mission, and to answer your question, I was pretty nervous. Yeah. I also had like a rival that was going there, and we're like best friends now. But
that's cool.
I was nervous at the time, you know, very competitive nerves.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, that's crazy. Javelin in Arizona, man. I'm from there, and I can't. It's got to be hellish.
Yeah,
just hot.
Oh, it's too hot.
But yeah,
way too hot.
That's crazy though. So you get off, you go to BYU, and then, how was that like?
BYU is great. World-class facilities.
Yeah.
Right. So you have everything you need. I had not had a recruiting trip before, so I didn't know where anything was. Yeah. And like my best friend now, he was like showing me where everything's at. He got recruited as a junior.
Nice.
He's a beast, man. He's the school record holder at BYU, state champion and state record holder in Utah.
Yeah.
So like he had all these recruiting trips, and I didn't get to have those because I was I threw later than he did. But it was a great experience, man. World-class training, world-class coaching facilities. What made it the best though is making the most of it, like myself. You know, that's what really made the experience and the facilities shine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So how'd you do that?
Really, like I struggled my freshman year, like a lot. I had trained a little bit on my mission. My technique was really good. I met with a dietitian and gained like way too much weight. I didn't feel like it was going to hinder my throws that much though, because I was way stronger.
Yeah.
From all that weight.
But does it have any drink like muscle builder shakes or something like that?
It was like a variety. It was straight bulk.
Drink the protein.
It's straight up a bulk, man. Yeah, it was a lot. I gained so much weight. It was like around 40 pounds.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so significant.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I thought I'd do better and I didn't. Like, and part of the hurt behind that was seeing my best friend excel.
Yeah.
Because we were neck and neck in high school.
Oh,
and
man.
The dude took off.
Really?
Like literally like top 15 in the country, top, 5 ever at BYU.
Jeez.
Like just doing so well.
Yeah.
And I was like nothing. Didn't make any big track meets at the end of the year. That's all that matters in NCAA track is going to regionals and then going to nationals. And I didn't make obviously even the first one.
Yeah.
So it was tough.
Dude, I would actually love to hear your thoughts on that because I feel like sports is a great way to compare yourself to someone else.
Yeah.
Like running is one of the worst ways. It's just like everyone's comparing each other to everyone. And like even when you go out on a run with your friends, they're like, dude, I don't want to run with you. Like you're way too fast. And I mean, I was talking to you at dinner and I was like, you were telling me about the people who run like 2:05 marathons at BYU. And I'm like, I wouldn't want to go out on a run with them because they would just smoke me, But it's like, I think a lot of that comes from comparison. So how'd you deal with that? Like it's your best friend, he's doing well. You don't feel like you're doing as good. Yeah. What was that like?
I mean, freshman year, like when it was happening, I fell apart.
Really?
Like, yeah. Like, I call it cue bouncing. A cue is just something you're working on.
Yeah.
Right. And cue bouncing is the worst thing you can do because you're just going to work on something new every time you take a throw. And ultimately you never get better when you're like not spending time on anything.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like one shot, one throw, next.
And you're trying something new every throw.
Every throw, you're trying something new. And like when you take 50 throws in practice, like you tried 50 new things. And like, so you're never going to learn like if something actually works or not. You didn't make any development. So that's what I did. I was like trying stuff that makes him throw far, you know, I was just scraping for anything. So really I just lost, I like went off of a path of consistency and I was just all over the place. And I didn't get any better. I got more hurt actually from doing that. Yeah. I ran into big problems like with my Achilles tendon and like some shoulder problems. Like it didn't work.
Yeah. That's tough, man.
Really unfocused, but you feel focused at the same time because you're just like scrambling.
Yeah. And you're like, I'm going to figure out how to do this, even if it takes me 50 tries.
Yep.
That's tough. So how'd you rein it back in? Like reel back in, like, okay, no, I need to focus on being consistent again.
So there was a few things. I feel like I lost sight of who I was. That was the first one. That being like me, who I was in my sport. Yeah. I prided myself on being a technician, somebody who knows technique and knows what to do. Yeah. And I realized I had went through a phase where a combination of things, including my friend's improvement, had helped me scramble and lose sight of direction and knowing what to do and just like faith in myself, because along with that came no improvement. Yeah. So I had to like rally that back into my life.
Which, by the way, that's so hard. Yeah. To like train and not see any progress. That's one of the most discouraging things that I've ever dealt with myself. And I know so many other people do.
Yeah, especially when you're doing your absolute best. Yeah. It's so like discouraging.
Trying as hard as you can. But there's so many lessons that you learn during that time. But yeah, so you lost sight of yourself, and sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's good. Yeah, it's definitely one of the most discouraging things ever when that happens. Yeah. So along with that, I kind of had to sit myself down and just realize who I was and what got me there. Yeah. You know, because like I went from so much improvement in 1 year, come off my mission, 0. Yeah. And I was like, is this a me problem? Right. Like there's no way if I was coaching someone in my situation, I wouldn't know how to help them. So with that in mind, my mind became a little more like closer to the path. And then I got recommended from one of my friends at BYU. She became a national champion later. Wow. But she told me
in javelin?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Great training partner, by the way, right next to a national champion.
Yeah, that's insane.
But Craig Manning is a sports psychologist there, and he's helped with like some of the best ever. Like he's done sports psychology for the Miami Heat when like LeBron was there. That's rad. Steph Curry, like he's renowned for his principles.
What does a sports psychologist do? I don't think I even know.
He just taught us about like just sports psychology, like the verbiage behind it and like what it is, general topics about neurology, what happens to your brain when you say a certain way, like when you're speaking positive and stuff. But the thing that sticks out about his class is how you apply those things.
Interesting.
And that is a book that he has called The Fearless Mind. And a journal comes with that. And there's a certain order that you should live by, according to him, when you practice. So the book would say objective. If I wanted to throw like a certain distance or like achieve a certain type of technique I was looking for, or lift a certain weight, I would write it on the objective. And it's been a while now, but, and then you would write 3 cues on how to get there. So, and they had to be 2 to 3 words at the most. For me, I liked 1 to 2. Yeah. So
keep it simple.
Yep. If I was doing a power clean, I'd be like, okay, if I want to lift 300 pounds, like what's going to get me there? And I was like, okay, excuse me. I was like, okay, I do better when my hands are narrow. So that's step 1, narrow. And then pull right up to my hip. So like, as a lot of people know, like if you go away from your body, it's not
way harder
going to pan out. Yeah.
Right. It's way harder.
That cue helped me stay really close to my body and have a really linear movement. So that, and then like keep that movement after I pop my hips on the bar. So, and shrug. So I would think that. And as you go through those 3 things that are simple, you only think of one thing that you can do better.
Of those 3.
Yep. So like,
I like that.
A lot of people, there's so much to fix. So much. You can pick out 50 things anytime you do something. And that's where cue bouncing happens. Right? It's like your brain is like trying to fix it. And so you think of 100 ways to, and you have to keep that narrow. And so
it's so hard.
It would be like, these are the 3 things you're sticking to, and you wrote them down. And then you don't even think about what to do better until after. Right. So you wouldn't even write in that segment until after you're done. It'd be like, what's one thing you would have changed?
Yeah.
And it helps you not think of all that. Right. And he had some other things in there for evaluation, like what was your anxiety level or your happiness level, motivation level.
Because all that influences performance. So that makes sense.
But those were the main ones, was like, what 3 things are you going to work on? And then what's one takeaway instead of like 50?
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you remember the first thing you focused on with like trying to improve your javelin throw?
I do. It's really hard to explain, but it was something to do with my hip movement.
Okay.
I just, in throwing, I believe that a lot of people, as they become more of a veteran, there are certain things that they do that always make them throw far. And they can fall back to them all the time. So anytime I got into a slump, there was like 2 or 3 things that I was like, I'm not doing that. Like when I do those, I'm going to be back. Yeah. You know, and then we can continue with the improvement. So for me, it was a hip function issue that I was like, I totally lost sight of that because I was trying this and this and this. Yeah. So that was what one of them was for me.
I think that's huge, man. Like I do that all the time. I know there's other people out there who do that all the time. Like something goes wrong and your brain's really good at it of being like, okay, here's everything that I could be doing better. Yeah. And instead it's like, okay, well, out of those like, I don't know, you could say 50 things, whatever it is, which one's the most important and which one deserves my attention right now? Like, I think that's the exercise that a lot of people need to focus on because it sounds like you sat down and actually thought through it. And a lot of times I think people who don't know what the next step is, like for whatever goal they're pursuing or like how to improve, whether it's like the piano or running or javelin, like doesn't matter. If you're trying to improve a skill, like what's the next thing that you could do now to improve your form or just help you master the technique? And it takes a lot of self-reflection.
It does.
So
yeah, one thing that like helped me with that was 2 quotes that I like forever live by. One of them is, you can't lose if you never give up. I love that.
That's huge.
Because like, that's how I feel about my career. I never gave up. And I did well, even though I was like, it's been like 1.5 years since I competed and I still don't sit well with how I did. Even though I'm like, I can't believe like when I step out of that mindset, I'm like, I can't believe what I did. Like the younger me would have like cried to do what I did. And then, 1% better mindset. Like that's a popular one. Yeah. But dude, like there's always something you can do better. Always. 100%. Even if that's like recognizing you need like a little bit of rest. Yeah. Like that is your leverage. Yeah. You know, having that kind of mindset.
Yeah. Have you read Atomic Habits?
Yeah.
Atomic Habits. Yeah. James Clear talked about that with the British cycling team. Like they just focused on getting 1% better every single day. And like, it doesn't seem big in the moment, but over time that's going to compound. And soon enough, like you will be a different player in the sport or a different human, like if it's your professional career. And I love that 1% better thing. But yeah, that's huge. And we can do that in all aspects of life, but like fitness is a great way to do it. Like if you're running into injuries or anything like that, figure out where you can get 1% better. If it's your form, if it's your rest, like you said, if it's your diet, like just try and nail that down a little bit. Yeah. But I also love that first quote. Can you say that again?
You can't lose if you never give up.
Yeah, that's huge. That's my friend Braden was just on the podcast and he's a runner. Like he's 31 years old. I hope I got that right, Braden. My bad. But he told this quote where he's like he was scared that, he might live a stagnant life. And then he like started getting into running and all these things. And like he had this whole pressure on him to like try and go as fast as he can and that kind of thing. And he was in Buffalo, New York, running with his friend. And he was pacing his friend, like trying to get him to get a certain time. And he recognized like they weren't on track to get the time that his friend wanted. And so he was like trying to motivate him, like, come on, like, let's go. Like, we can still do it if you just push a little harder. And his friend looked at him and said, hey, failure is fine. Quitting is not an option. And it's like the same kind of thing.
I love that. Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter if, you know, you mess up a little bit or like you didn't get the goal time you wanted. It's like the important thing is you don't quit, like to yourself or to the commitment that you made. So that's huge. I love that quote. I'm gonna have to write that one down.
Yeah.
That's what I should do with this wall is write everyone's quotes down. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, all the elite quotes that come through from your podcast.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. That'd be awesome. That's huge. Yeah. I mean, that mindset of just not quitting. So yeah, I mean, how did it go from there?
From there, much better. In 1 month, which this is significant in javelin, by the way, but in 1 month, I made a 15-foot improvement.
I was going to ask about that. Like, what's the distance? Like, if someone wants to improve their distance or their throw distance, like, what's an average? Okay, I worked super hard on it. How much further am I going to get?
Right.
If that makes sense.
That's where coaching gets really important. Because, and you'll learn more about this here in a second, but like I have been through almost every style of technique and like, which helps me to understand everyone else's throw a lot better.
Yeah.
And with that, like, I know like a range that people will generally benefit from a certain aspect they adopt from their new technique. To answer your question though, like what's a respectful distance? Really like at the amateur level, like in high school, what I did was really outstanding. Yeah. Like 200 feet, I mean, top double. 10 in the country and insane. Double the distance. Like that's insane. But in the amateur level, I don't know what the ranges are. They could be explosive is what I'm saying. But when you get up to, like there's certain thresholds after that you'll see at like the collegiate level and professional. Yeah. Where like, we think in meters instead of feet then, but like 60 meters, that's like 200 feet. So in high school, that's outstanding. In college, a lot of people will throw 60 to 62. Less will throw 64 to 65 meters. There's less, but like a good chunk of the country will like at that level be throwing and never get past that. 66 to 67 is totally different. Yeah. Way less people throw over that distance.
Is that like Olympian level?
No. Olympian is like way past that.
Really?
Like just for like an auto mark at the Olympics, you're throwing like, like 84, 85.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like shows how much better they are even than like collegiate, like D1 athletes, and D2. D2 is really good now.
That's amazing.
But yeah, there's these thresholds where you'll just see it thin out essentially. Yeah. And so you have to kind of go from there. You never know at a certain level, like how much you're improve. And you really just have to kind of know that you'll improve if you do this certain thing right.
So how did you see yours improve?
The way I saw mine improve, it was about 2.5, 3 meters a year, which is still outstanding. That's like 10 to 12 feet a year. Yeah. So I would work on things and I expected way more than that. But that's what I ended up getting out of it. And then like injuries rolled in, and then that changes everything, especially like when you're hurt during a season and there is a time crunch. Yeah. Like you can't rest for 3 months and then the season's gone by.
It doesn't work,
and then a year has gone by. Right. So it's way different in that sense. And the game changes there. But after my junior year, I didn't improve because of injuries.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough, man. Injuries are the most like we talked a little bit about like comparison, but injuries are the most discouraging thing.
So downing.
Take back what I said earlier. Like that is the worst feeling. And like I've had very minor injuries with running, but even when they come up, it's like I just get frustrated when it's like I know what I can do, but because of whatever happened, like I can't anymore. Yeah, and we were talking a little bit. Like you told me some of your injuries. Walk me through the first one.
Yep. First one was a meniscus. This was the lightest one. Okay. Like no. It was light. It really was light. It was like you walk out the same day on the hospital on the leg.
Oh, really?
Yep. And it's not like normal walking, like you're totally hobbling and like barely putting pressure on it.
But still.
But it was a 4-week recovery, which I think because it was on the inside part of my knee that I rotate inwards when I throw. It was about 4 months instead of 4 weeks because like I was physically turning like my joint in that direction. So it was like 3 or 4 months, but that one was light. And then that same year, like I tore my UCL, so on the elbow, for those of you that don't know, that's like your ACL of your elbow.
Oh, jeez,
right?
Man.
And that's a massive recovery.
How does that happen? And
really
just
common.
from the way that your arm throws?
Yep. Like it's known as Tommy John in the baseball world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like very famous. It's just that overhead movement and like all the pressure. Yeah. Like that's another thing you have to deal with. When you get better, your body's more powerful, but you have the same joints.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so like sense. All that power, like if you don't throw correctly or if you overuse, it's going to play a massive role in how those get hurt.
Yeah.
And between my knee surgery and my elbow surgery, I had learned a whole lot and gotten way better.
Yeah.
And so I did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
And like at all. I came off the track meet of my life. And then in practice, I was just warming up, and we call them pickers. It's just when you're throwing it in the ground 10 feet in front of you when you start warming up. I tore it on one of those. Like,
really?
I had no clue it was going to tear. Yeah.
Jeez, man.
Like, seriously, it was the strangest thing and devastating, obviously.
Yeah, just the little things.
Yep.
Man, so that takes you out for the season?
At that point in the season, it was smarter to finish through.
Okay.
Because I couldn't get my year back, like get a red shirt involved. It was too deep. It was like at the end of the season.
Okay.
And so it was more optimal to throw through that pain and try to qualify for nationals at regionals.
Yeah.
And then get the surgery like right after the season and prepare for the next year.
Was it pretty painful?
Way painful.
Oh,
yes.
So every throw, it's just like aggravates it more.
Very much pain. Yeah.
Jeez,
very
man.
much. Yeah. So much pain. Like for people that don't know, when you tear it, it's like your ulnar nerves right there. And so it will shock all the way up to like your ring, pinky finger. And for me, it was like the shock every time I threw. It feels like lightning going through your arm.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like my hand was like completely numb.
Oh my
so
gosh.
It felt
all
weird.
The time?
Yeah. You know, like when your hand's asleep and it feels like weird.
Yeah.
When it's like recovering from that. Like when it's waking up, you get those tingles. It's like that, but they hurt though.
Oh, jeez.
So it was really painful. That's all I'm trying to say.
Dude, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's impressive. And how long was that when you played or when you like threw during that time? How long of a time period?
It was April to July.
Wow.
So actually a long ways. Because at that point in the season, you qualify for meets.
Yeah.
And then the only way to keep throwing is to qualify out of that meet for another one.
Oh,
and
man.
I was at a high enough level that I kept qualifying for meets.
Yeah.
And so it kept getting pushed out further and further.
Dang. So you're still qualifying, like even though you're injured.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty badass, dude. I gotta say, that's legit.
Well, that's what
That's Goggins, man. You get some Goggins in
Javelin Goggins.
Yeah. Javelin Goggins.
Yeah, dude. I'm very proud of it. Like I look back at that and I don't know how I did that.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get the surgery afterwards.
Yeah.
Were you worried during that time? Like, since you had a little bit of time to recover, how long does it take for Tommy John's?
Oh, I've seen people go lightning fast, and that's like 8 months.
8 months?
Lightning fast. But man, that is like the 1%, dude.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to an elite thrower out there about this because he went through the surgery, and I had some concerns post-surgery about how things were feeling. And he was telling me it's like the rule of the thirds. It's like a third of the people are going to go really fast in their recovery. A third are normal and a third are really slow. And for me, since I've had it twice, I've had the surgery twice now. I'm learning that for the first half of the surgery, I'm in the fast thirds. And then it's very normal after that. Yeah. And then it actually goes slow. So I like hit every category. So that's why I was reaching out to him though. Cause
that makes sense.
I was doing stuff that in a healthy way I wasn't able to do at like 3-4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was recovery like? Like what was your protocol? Did you have like, I don't know, exercises that you did all the time, or what was that like?
6 weeks in a cast. And then after they take the cast out, I mean, your arm, I'm sure like other surgeries are the same.
Yeah.
Like an ACL and stuff, but it's like noticeably weak.
It's just atrophied.
tiny. Yeah. It's tiny. It has no strength. Like I remember like being in the cast still, and like a big success is like being able to move your fingers.
Really?
Yep. Because like what they do is they take a tendon from your forearm called the palmaris, and they put that for your new UCL.
That's insane.
Right. And so, yeah, your fingers are like really wrecked from that because the tendon's up by your hand to your wrist. And
does it not affect your hand movement?
It does a little bit. Not hardly noticeable though. Like mostly strength.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the recovery and all that from, So a lot of that when you're out of the cast is basic, like moving your fingers. Yeah. Like that's literally an exercise, or like rolling your wrist for a certain amount of time a day. And then they give you like a squeeze ball, like with a certain like weight to it. And then, it just graduates there slowly to like banded work and then weightlifting and then very slowly over time, like into throwing movements. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you make that like your new training? Be like, okay, I'm going to try and get back as soon as I can. Because I've heard a lot of people do that. Like when they do get injured, they make it their goal to just focus on the recovery piece and be like, I'm going to do all my PT exercises, and they just get hyper focused on that.
So going into my senior year, I realized I could not do that because I needed a balance at the level I was at to still make an improvement. Because the question now is 12 months is a month. 12 months at my recovery is 1 month before season starts.
Oh, wow.
So I had to take myself back and kind of just be like, how am I going to get better without throwing?
Yeah. That's tough.
And knowing that I'm better.
Right.
So it becomes a mental game. It becomes way more strategy and planning and focusing on being well-rounded. Yeah. So of course, arm recovery, but a whole lot of it was totally based on like athleticism, how in shape you are, what's your body to weight strength ratio? Like, is that bar in the weightlifting, like we talked about earlier, really moving faster in your hang cleans? Like all those other variables, mobility, flexibility, everything. So it became in a culmination of like all things.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
The mental battle piece, that's one thing I definitely want to focus on for a second. Like that's, like we talked about, like this discouragement and everything like that. Like I can't imagine how that's difficult. But how did you make a plan and be like, how'd you keep a positive attitude during that time? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, you mentioned earlier that like when you're hurt, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you said something along the lines of when you're hurt, it makes you discouraged because you're not doing what you thought you could.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I'm a huge believer like in God.
Yeah.
And I think there is opposition in everything. And so it's like, it's good or bad. Yeah. And that includes like your mental, like what's in your head, even if it's your own conscience, whatever. Yeah. So when you have good thoughts like that and you can envision yourself doing something cool, or you get motivated off of something, you can do.
Yeah.
You have to hold on to that. Like you have to. I feel like those are in the good category. And God gave you that for a reason, right? And that doesn't mean you're going to do that, but I think there's learning and just all those things like involved as well. So like, for example, I always thought I could throw a certain distance. Maybe I can, but I thought I could in college and I didn't. But me remembering that and sitting down and making plans to make sure that happens. Yeah. Taught me so much along the ways, and it gave me that drive. Yeah. Even on the worst days, right? Yeah. Like you have to pull something out.
Yeah, absolutely.
1% has to come somewhere.
Right. Yeah. I love that, man. Man, you're saying so many good things. I actually wrote an article on my website today about hope in the dark days. Like it's crucial to have that. Like you have to envision something for yourself when you're in the lowest of the lows. You have to hope for a better future, because otherwise it's just like that self-talk becomes more and more negative over time. Yeah. You start not believing that you can come back and make a comeback to where you were. You just imagine your life's going to be miserable. Like I told you a little bit about like when I was sick upstairs, and there were a lot of times when it was like, doctors told me I was dying. Like they told me I might have leukemia, and We had no idea what was going on for 2 years, and it was like uncertainty after uncertainty. And I just remember I was like, I have that same belief in God. Like, there has to be something good from this that I can at least learn, and just held on to that hope for like the future will be better. And it depends on like how I focus on it. Like I can make it, and it sounds so cliche and it sounds really cheesy and corny, but it's like, I can make it the future I want it to be if I make the right decisions and like focus on the right things. But it really is true. And it's like, you had two choices, and it was, I'm going to self-pity and just be mad that I'm injured like right before my senior year, right? Your senior year. Or I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to get 1% better in all these different areas and become the best javelin thrower I can be, and then also just best person. Because you have the option to always give in when you face these challenges, you face these trials, and the important thing is just to keep going. Like your quote, it's like, just don't quit. Like, keep going.
I heard something else recently. I can't remember who it was. It was just like a reel on Instagram. Yeah. But they said they feel they don't think happiness is real. They think happiness comes from when they're proud of themselves. And the whole pitch was just that, like, they like hard work, and that's how they feel happiness. They don't just like wake up and they're just like happy. Yeah. And it made me think of those days, because when you're like in the pits that bad, like the tiniest thing you do can feel like a pretty big win.
Absolutely.
You have a surgery, or you're like hospitalized, like you're in a hospital bed, like the tiniest thing can make you feel like you can do it again. Yeah. And like when you're that deep in the trenches, I guess, like that's really what you're looking for. That's why 1% is like so important. That's why never giving up, like, will always help you win. Because like, it's not about the win that you picture in your head. Yeah. You'll realize over time that it's just like, you just won all the time. Yeah. Because you were doing it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's what it's really impactful for me.
100%. It's like, can you be proud of the work that you did on this day or whatever it is? Like, can you be proud of what you did? And if the answer is yes, like, usually you will feel better. Yeah. If you gave it all you had, if you did your best, then you should be proud of yourself for that. Like, obviously don't go gloating around and being like, oh yeah, I did this, but like, be proud that you're trying to get better and like you're trying to progress. It sounds like you adapted that 100%.
Yeah. A lot of times with the injuries, you have to, like in my scenario, when there's a deadline, like the season doesn't change. Yeah. Right. It's a little different just because you're like, I'm hurt. Yeah. I'm not hurt enough to get a red shirt and not compete this year. Right. How do I still get better when I'm hurt? Yeah. Because like so much comes into play, and just because your body's hurting, you're worse. And there is always something you can do. Yeah. Always to get better. And like, I didn't improve after I threw my PR my junior year, but I look back and like, even after I got hurt the last end of that season, yeah, almost every meet, I was still almost throwing my PR. Like with, like, it just hurts so much to throw. Okay. That's insane, like it hurts so much to throw with a torn UCL for me. And same with like the next year, because I tore it again. Right. Jeez. And so like, that's how my senior year went. Yeah. But again, it's like, it's the senior year and it's over. Like, what are you going to do about it? Right. Are you going to just stop and have a surgery that you have to get? Yeah. Or, could you just do the same thing you did last time and have the same, like, it was literally copy and paste the same. So yeah.
Did the pain increase, or was it just like,
this time it actually hurt more. Really? I had other issues this time that popped through. Like, it felt like my arm was going to fall off this time. And so there's pictures of me throwing, like in my last meet, and I have like tape everywhere. Like that KT tape is everywhere on my arm. I have like stretchy tape from the trainers and like an arm sleeve. It's just ridiculous. But
that's brutal, man.
Yeah. Making sure you still compete at a high level is possible, even when you're hurt. Yeah. Depending on your scenario, by the way. I don't know. Like if you break your leg, that's totally different.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like if you're a runner and you break your leg. Like,
yeah, you probably can't do that. But I mean, like,
you know what I mean?
100%. Like within being smart, like obviously, like your situation was different because there was no risk of like making it worse, right?
Yeah, it was torn and I had to get the surgery.
Yeah, so it's like if someone's out there and they tear their ACL or they, pop their meniscus, I don't know what the term is, tear it. I wouldn't advise you to go out and run. I would say get that fixed and then maybe talk about running. But like,
Yeah, that's like first step in that scenario.
And I mean, yours is also different because you were competing.
Yeah.
Like that's very different. Like it's college. But I just love that mindset. It's like, can you push just a little bit further? Can you hold on? Can you fight? Because I guarantee you, like, I hope I'm not speaking for you, but I can assume that you had these thoughts. Like your body was probably like, stop.
Oh yeah.
Like stop doing this to me. Because I've had those thoughts on like a run like that I'm not injured on. It's like my body's just like getting beat up. You know, I'm going up that mountain. That's 3 miles of just pure elevation gain that I was telling you about. And it's just like, this is pure suck. Like this sucks. This is horrible. But a lot of times it's like we just talk ourselves out of it because it's uncomfortable. And so it's like pushing past that discomfort, and that's how you get 1% better. Like I can't imagine the mental lessons you learned during that time.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
I feel like running's like a big mental experience too. Like I haven't ran nearly as much as you. Like I told you, like my record is in one go is like a 10K. But
well, to be fair, like if I threw a javelin, it would probably go 10 feet. Okay. So
true. Okay.
Yeah.
You'd probably throw further than that, bro. But,
I don't know.
You know what I mean? But like the hard part about javelin is the cue bouncing, like I talked about.
Yeah.
And then learning how to come back from that. But it's the reason that happens is because technique is so important that you could legitimately do one thing different and throw like 30 feet further. Like that's a real possibility. There's people that hit random throws that go 30 to 40 feet further than ever before, and they never figure it out for the rest of their career.
Really?
And so you can see how that would mess with you.
Yeah.
Right? How did I do that?
Yeah, that's insane.
And then it's obviously that it's technique.
Yeah.
And then cue bouncing and like all these other things. But yeah, making a plan and not making sure like you know how to come out of those states. Because I think, like you said earlier, a lot of people don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like how to move forward. And that includes like with a mental spiral, you know, or just
tough.
How to think positive and when.
Right.
You know, because when you're running up a hill, I'm sure like it's obvious that it's positive if you push through.
Yeah, 100%.
But the last thing you want to do is do that.
Absolutely,
you
man.
know what I mean?
Like, no matter what happens, anytime I finish a run, I'm always proud of what I did because, like, it's a conversation with discomfort every single time.
Yeah.
And when I give into that, I feel terrible. Like, if I'm like going on a run, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, and I only get 3 miles or something. Like, I feel bad the rest of the day. And usually I end up running at nighttime, just like get them back.
Yep.
But if I do, to your point, like push through a little bit, I'm always like, okay, like I've earned my suffering for today. Like I'm good to go. But it really is just mental. Like, yeah, you need the legs, you need the strength there. But at the end of the day, it's like, can you push?
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's the same in javelin too.
It is. Yeah. It's just throwing instead of running. Like it's just a mental, it's really hard to do all the time. It's a conversation with discomfort every time.
Yeah.
And, with the Craig Manning class again, like something he's huge on are two things. One is focusing on what to do and what not to do instead of what not to do. Focus on what to do and not what not to do. Sorry, that's like hard for me to think through right now.
Yeah, it sounds like a tongue twister. You're good, dude.
But that's really important, and that's his whole thing with like the focus on 3 things, 2 to 3 things.
Yeah, and
never about what you can fix until after, because you're just hyper focused on what to do.
Yeah.
Another one that he talked about in a podcast actually with Sam Taggart when like 10 years ago, he said he didn't even realize that until he looked deep into the neuroscience that you can yell at yourself in your head. And so like when you're having those mental thoughts, like, so you start thinking of people like David Goggins and stuff, like when he gets into that headspace where he's yelling at himself, it's because he's trying to overcome the voice in his head that doesn't want to do it. Yeah. And like he said that before. And it's a true thing. Like when I made it to nationals, like my arm was killing me, and you had to place top 12 at that meet, which is incredibly hard to do even with an intact arm.
Right.
Cause like my PR would have barely made it. Right. And so I was like, I have to perform my best to make this happen. With a torn UCL.
Pressure on you.
Yeah. A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And I was doing terrible because my arm hurt.
Right.
And so, but I remembered like those 2 things he said, focus on what to do instead of what not to do. And, I had these terrible thoughts, right? Like, like, dude, your arm hurts. Like, you're good. Like, you've had a good season, you know? And I'm like, what am I talking about? And so I started yelling at myself in my head.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like, out loud, actually, which is really awkward because, like, people heard it.
Yeah.
I was, like, pacing on the side, yelling at myself on what to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was just affirming myself, the things that make me throw far. Like, for me, when I stay over my hips, I throw really far.
Yeah.
And that's explanation for another time. But I would just keep saying, like, I have a good hip.
Yeah.
I have a good hip, like, over and over and over until all the noise was blocked out.
Yeah. Someone on the sidelines is like, he does have a great hip.
Yeah.
Like, dang, look at that guy.
Yeah. There were like a few comments from like the athletes later that were like, that was a good hip, man.
Yeah. Great hip.
But ultimately, like, as soon as I stepped in the back of the runway, I was so focused because all I cared about for like 10 minutes before that was what to do and what makes me great.
Yeah.
And I had like, as soon as it left my hand, I knew I was qualified. I knew immediately. Yep. As soon as I like didn't even have to watch it land. I did, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's so powerful. And like, my arm pain wasn't in my head.
Yeah.
Like, none of that was going through my head anymore because all I cared about was what makes me great and what to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyways, it was just a wonderful experience. But those two things that Craig Manning teaches is incredibly vital to performance. And so yell at yourself. Yeah. You know, if you have to, like, it's helpful.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of things on that. Like, that's amazing. And it goes to show that, like, the consistency and the discipline that you had with javelin paid off in the end because your body kind of just went into like a flow state. And it was like, I know what to do here.
Mm-hmm. Gets in the zone.
Yeah. It gets you in the zone. But the yelling piece, it's like, it can make or break you.
Yeah.
I used to have a really bad, like, negative self-talk before, like, you know, Allie and I got married. She helped me a ton with it. But like, I would be like, you piece of shit. Like you're the worst. Like, lift up that heavy weight and stuff like that. And I would get like mad at myself all the time. And it was really bad. And like, it was self-defeating. And I would listen to that really bad. But like, now it's shifted to the point where it's like, you can do this. Like, you've done this before. Do it again. Like, do it again. Like, you have strong legs. They're long. You can go up a mountain, whatever. Do it again. Like, and it is powerful. And it sounds like it, you know, it's that self-help thing that, you know, everyone talks about is like, be your own best cheerleader. But that's a principle like everyone should live by, is like, if you've done the work, if you know that you've done everything that's gotten you to this point, and you've done it correctly, then be confident in it. Like, the confidence comes from doing hard things and doing them repeatedly. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what you explained. But on that piece that reminded me of a David Goggins story. I'll tell you real quick. But so Cameron Haynes, Truett Haynes' dad, he was talking about like how he ran one of his first ultra marathons, and David Goggins ran with him. And Cameron Haynes makes it to this top of this hill, and he's struggling the whole time. And like, it's raining, and he's like freezing, and he's just talking about how the conditions were just the worst. And he makes it to the top of the hill, and there's a camera guy up there, and he's like, "Hey, have you seen David? Like, I haven't seen him." And the camera guy goes, "Yeah, he just ran up the hill, his shirt off. He ran like it was nothing, and he was screaming to himself, 'They don't know you, son. They don't know you, son.'" And the camera's like, "Who was he screaming to?" And he goes, "He was by himself." And so he's like doing that same thing you talked about. Like,
that's him, man.
They don't know him, and he's gonna prove that. But it's just like, he's motivated himself during that time, and that's a powerful concept to learn. Yeah. It's huge.
It is. Yeah. Like, in that moment, like, I literally remember, because I prepared. Maybe I shouldn't have done this, hindsight, but like, I prepared myself for that exact moment the whole year, every week. So like, because like, I knew how far I was throwing and how far it takes to make it to nationals. Yeah. And so I was like, and you get half the amount of throws at regionals. So it's way harder to qualify. Dang. So I was like preparing myself every week. Every Wednesday, I would go into our annex, and it was just me at that time, and I'd talk to myself. And I remember feeling weird about it at first, because like, verbal self-talk is even more powerful. Yeah. You know, like what Goggins was doing, like, it just gets you there in the 100%. Zone. But I prepared for that moment, and I pictured it in my mind as being like a last throw situation, because I know everyone struggles when it's like, this is the last chance, you know,
all the pressure's on.
Yeah, all the pressure. and maybe I manifested that into reality
Yeah.
to be the last throw. But anyways, I was prepared to speak to myself in that moment. And that's what made it so, I think, so beneficial is just to know, like, because I've done it every Wednesday the whole season, that I can get in that headspace when I really need to. Right. And I really needed to in that moment. I was in a lot of pain, a lot of pressure. Like, almost nobody gets a shot to go to nationals in their whole career. And so that was a big moment for me. And
man, you know, the reps add up over time.
They do. Yeah.
That's huge. So what was nationals like?
Nationals was painful as well.
That kind of seems like the similar story,
terrible. Dude. We showed up and I still did pretty good.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a spectacular performance like the regional.
And how many people are at nationals?
Only 24.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah, so it's top 24 in the country that go.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was surreal.
Yeah.
Like that's not like there's people, man, like it's just so hard to make it.
I can imagine.
Especially when you're like right in the distance threshold that I was.
I mean, dude, you're talking about 24 people out of the entire nation.
Yeah. And a lot of those guys like make it every year, you know, just because like they're throwing much further.
Yeah.
And so you can always count on certain people, but like that bottom half, like it's 12 people that do make it from the east and west.
Yeah.
And the west side that I was on, it's always like the bottom, like 7 or 8 to 12.
Yeah.
That fluctuate. And so you like never know if you're in that range, if you're going to make it. So,
was that intimidating?
Yeah. Way intimidating. Yeah.
I would lose it.
I think it was too surreal of an experience to be there though.
Really?
It was hard to focus because I had worked so hard to get there.
Yeah.
Like I was just like kind of, my mind was at ease.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to like have that grit and focus because I had spent so much mental energy just to get there.
Yeah.
That absolutely. I relaxed when I made it.
That's so cool.
It was cool. So yeah. And dude, like I was pretty done with the season by then. Like my arm was killing me. So
I can imagine.
I went out and threw as hard as I could and then was mad about it like at every single meet.
Yeah.
And just went out still happy though.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine like what a high school Michael would have said.
Oh yeah, I would have cried.
Yeah. You'd have been like,
I mentioned that earlier, but like I for sure would have cried if I could
100%.
actually
If
see
you saw like the journey that you were going to go on.
Mm-hmm.
But that only came from showing up, being consistent, being disciplined, learning, and like focusing on what you could tweak and stuff like that. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What a cool story. Like that's even during injury, dude.
Yeah.
Like not a lot of people do that. Pain is something everyone wants to avoid. But like, I don't know. I talk about this concept of unchosen versus chosen suffering. And unchosen suffering is obviously like what life throws at you. So like if a loved one gets sick or like you lose your job, things that are really hard to deal with. But chosen suffering is I'm going to go and I'm going to work hard in the gym, or like I'm going to focus hard and do all I can to get better at javelin. And it's like putting yourself in uncomfortable and difficult situations. So when those times come up, it's like, you know, I know how to get through hard things. This is not great, but at least I can do it. And like that's a huge thing. It's like people just try and avoid pain. Yeah. But the fact like you leaned into it and you're like, hey, I got nationals left. I'm going to give it my best shot. I'll get the surgery when I'm done, but I don't care until then. That's amazing, man. It's freaking cool.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's like such a like an inspiring story. Like so many people could listen to and be like, okay, well, you know, what's the javelin in my life? The quote unquote javelin. Like, is it my job? Like, do I want to get better there? If so, it's like, okay, well, let's think of the top 3 things that I could focus on and like go through the motions and see which one I need to work on, or like whatever it is. But
yeah,
I think it just shows that like all the different setbacks you had and the challenges that came during the actual seasons, like it doesn't matter. You can still make it to nationals. Like, I think that's a huge thing that like you're going to go through challenges no matter what you do in life. And it's how you handle them. Like I said, like you had plenty of reasons to be like, I'm done. Like I want the out. I just tore my PCL a second time. Like what the heck? Like, but no, it's like, I'm going to fight this thing. I'm going to go as hard as I can. That's huge, dude.
Yep. You got to find a way.
Gotta find a way.
There's always a way, even if that's getting surgery right away for people that get motivated to.
Yeah.
If you have a serious enough injury, please get surgery.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like,
But you all understand what he said.
yeah, it's a different situation. Like, yeah, you had different situation. Like, there are people out there that just need to address some issues when it comes up.
I've
like,
just known people before. That's why I say that. I've known people before and just like have a terrible injury and they still power through it. And I'm like, please get your surgery right now.
It's like you're gonna add,
You know,
you're gonna cause permanent damage.
yeah.
So
it's changed my life forever though, to like add on to that.
Really?
Forever. Yep. Like when college ended, I got into sales and it was like different because I'm not throwing javelin.
Yeah.
But the same thing in the sense that like one of my coworkers who's been in sales for a long time, he's come up to me. He's like, how are you going to be? He's like, just think of it differently. Like, how are you going to be an All-American in this? How are you going to, you know, if you have like an injury, how are you going to do it in this? And I was like, that mind shift.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's perfect.
100%.
Like, so immediately it was like studying, figuring it out, like going through my steps.
Refining the pitch.
You know, like all day when I'm making calls, it's like I'm trying to do this, you know, on every call. So it's just been life-changing. And I don't think I'd be the same without it, man. Like I'm so grateful. Like it sucks to say like I'm grateful I got hurt and couldn't accomplish what I wanted to. But that's life, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think finding the gratitude in those moments is like what makes them valuable. It's like what I was telling you upstairs, like when I was sick and I was told that I would never run and like I would have a heart attack if I did. But now it's like I'm healthy again. Like I'm back to where I kind of used to be in terms of my weight in college. And like that just gives you a lot of power to be like, you know what? I know what it's like to not be able to do it. And I'm grateful for the opportunity I have to keep going, even though if I still have some health issues, which I do. But like, you know, that is life. Like you said, it's going to be full of challenges.
Yeah, I agree.
That's cool, man. I mean, now you're like coaching. Let's talk about the social media piece for a second. You started a javelin page.
Yep. I've always had my page kind of dedicated to javelin, right? Like post a video of me training here and there. I've always felt like I've just learned so much. Like I've went through almost every style of technique in that bouncing around to try to figure it out. And I've really become accustomed and in tune to different styles and what they feel like. Like the better you get, the more you learn what a good throw feels like.
Yeah.
Because there's what it looks like and then feeling is totally different because you're playing around with reaction and elasticity.
Yeah.
Instead of just like screenshot. Yeah. Right. Anyways, I've been through so much and I've always felt like, I've been really good at helping people get through what they go through. When I watch somebody throw, I know exactly how it feels. I know what it feels like to take their throw.
That's crazy.
And that's my advantage. I know how to help people the best that I can because I feel like I understand their throw because of what I've went through. Yeah. You know, and I've went through a lot and still accomplished a lot. And I want to help them do the same. Like I get pumped, dude, when I'm helping someone and they accomplish something. Like I lose my mind because like I know what it's like when they improve. Yeah. You know, and they do like it's just so great. But yeah, I've started a page or dedicated my page at least to it. And that's kind of where that passion is going to funnel through now, you know, like I'm post collegiate now and I've learned a lot and I just don't want all that information to die. Like it should be shared, 100%. You know?
I mean, I love that you just said passion because like it really is a passion. And Cameron Haynes, going back to running, but I'm reading his book. It's called Undeniable.
So good.
Yeah. Have you read it?
Yeah. So
it's
good.
So good. But in that book, he talks about passion and he says, people think they have passion, but they don't because passion is that you're willing to suffer for the thing that you love. And like, perfect example, dude. Yeah. You're doing
I'm still doing it.
2 seasons with like a torn PCL. Like that's going to suck. And you're suffering during that time, but it's because you love the sport and you want to get better. And it's like, yeah, don't let that die. Like feed other people that. And it's like, I can't imagine how gratifying that is. Like I've learned all this and I want to help other people get even better than I was. Like that's so cool.
Yeah. The key, like to me, to build on that, like what makes me more pumped is like continual learning too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I love figuring out the event more and more. That's something that I can't stay away from. My mind is so intrigued to figure out throws, and what people do and how that might feel or how this movement might work, that as I continually coach or hear other coaches' opinions on things or drills on why they should do them or why they shouldn't, like I just continue to grow with it too. And so I learned that my passion is not only just like figuring stuff out, but it's like also the throwing attached to that. So like I may not throw at all, but helping someone figure something out like makes me just as excited, you know?
Yeah,
so
that's huge.
It's like multiple passion avenues at once for me. And it's it's so nice. Like I love it.
That's so cool, man.
It feels very rewarding to see someone have success when they went to you because they didn't know what to do.
Yeah. 100%.
You know?
I've like, I don't know if I told you about my brother running, but like he was 265 pounds and he's like, I want to run a marathon in a year. It's like I helped him through that process, and like the joy that I saw in his face when he like crossed the finish line and went from 265 to like now he's 203. Making that whole transformation, this whole change, these whole lifestyle changes, and just seeing how proud he was of himself. It was like, that made it, everything that I've gone through, like made it worth it, because like I was able to give him the knowledge that I have. So like, I'm sure you'll run into stuff like that. And it's that's awesome, dude. I love
that story. Like it reminds me of that national champion I spoke of earlier.
Oh yeah.
She was a year older than me. So we trained together very closely. We had similar styles, similar opinions, and she was really good. So like, of course, like naturally I'm going to attach to that training style.
Yeah.
And we realized like becoming a routinist is like so deadly.
Yeah, dude.
And that's just because you do things when you're tired. you do it no matter what.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like you're reasonable with needing to take a break and what your limits are, but like it's the 1% thing. Like you have to be a routinist to be successful. Yeah. And like just becoming accustomed, like you said, to pain and suffering, and just like I guess like it just kind of numbs it out when you get to that point where like you go to the gym or to train or run or whatever, like, and it's just what you do and you don't feel normal without it.
Yeah.
Like then you're a routinist.
Right.
And you can't live without it. And like discomfort is how you feel joy. Yeah. As opposed to where you were before. Like we created a culture at BYU based off of that.
That's so cool.
Like we would practice at a certain time and work on certain things that we needed to work on. Yeah. And that helped. Other people saw that, would come and practice on the side at the same time. Man, that's cool. Right. And then it'd be like, hey, come over here, you know? And then like eventually it led to like so many people doing the same thing because they saw that routinist perfectionism, like they just saw that come to play. Yeah. You know, I mean, someone wins a national championship from it.
That's so cool.
And everyone's, you know, what did you do? And
Absolutely.
That was the main thing that stuck out, you know, man. Routine, dedication.
I mean, it helps. Like that's it. That's what helps fuel consistency. Yeah. And without consistency, you're not going to go very far in really anything. Yeah. You're not going to get great at anything, I should say. Because you can go far in some things, but like.
Can imagine your brother, man, in that moment.
It was so cool.
That's amazing.
And now he's like running a 50K with us.
Yeah. Holy October. Cow, really?
Yeah. And then he's the guy I'm doing the 50 miler with in April. Wow. So it's just like, it's cool amazing. Seeing like a transformation and then seeing people believe in themselves. And like, I'm sure you've run at the same thing already with coaching and stuff like that. So that's awesome, man. Like what a story. Like that's so cool. But yeah, I ask most of my guests this, and I got to ask you. So based off like everything we've talked about, like what does getting after it mean to you?
It's a good question. Because I believe in so much.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a lot.
Just knowing you can't lose if you don't give up. Like I'm serious. Like if you never stop, you'll always find a way. Yeah. And there's nothing more rewarding than that. Like I know the reward, and so I naturally, like my fun is doing things that aren't fun to other people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I go to the gym when I really don't want to. Right. You know, I'm really sore. I roll out my IT band when it's killing me. Yeah. That hurts for everyone. Yeah, absolutely. That's the worst pain.
Yeah, that sucks.
You know what I mean? And like it's changed my life forever for that reason. And hopefully that answers your question. But
absolutely, man.
I think that would be my answer.
Yeah.
In a very short form summary.
Dude, that's perfect. I think that's a great place to kind of wrap things up. But dude, yeah, seriously. I mean, I love that story. It's like taking a chance on yourself and then just going all in on it. Like, that's huge. So yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. This was fun. This was a fun one.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I was excited when you asked me. So
yeah, dude, of course. I mean, like I feel like there's so much to learn from anyone, especially in like people who are in different sports, because like the principles that they talk about are all very similar in the sense of like, well, you need consistency, you need discipline, you need a routine, like you need all these things, but everyone applies them differently. And
true.
Some way that one person might apply it one way that might resonate with others. And like the way I do it might not resonate with that person. So it's like, it just helps other people to like hear, how other people are getting after it, quote unquote. And like recognizing that there is a community of people out there who are very similar to them, who are trying to like make things happen. So no, I appreciate it, man. And like, you always have an invite on. If you want to come on and just talk about like, your social page or anything like that, which by the way, what is it? So people can check it out.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
The announcement.
Got to get the plug in.
Yep. My Instagram right now is Mike_Whit. Same with my TikTok. And soon it will change.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
It'll change at some point soon in the future. So
right on.
We'll announce that at some point, but yeah, continuing with the routine and developing. That's what it is for my social as well. Dude. So that's what you'll see.
1% better on social every day, man.
Every day.
I'm trying to do the same. It's freaking tough.
It's really hard.
It's hard, but that's the thing. It's like it's everything we've talked about. Like, keep showing up.
Yes, sir.
I think that's huge. So you're the man, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. And, everyone else, I really appreciate you for listening. And as always, just keep getting after it.